Hi, my name is Jennifer Militello, and I am here to talk with you about my new book, Identifying the Pathogen. This is a brand new book in the world, and I'm really excited to be here with the Boulder Bookstore to speak with you about it today. The bookstore has provided us with a few questions that we're going to be going through with you.
Can you give us a very brief synopsis of your book?
Absolutely. So, at the center of identifying the pathogen is a narrative of laboratory experiments and dissections done as a study seeking answers to a medical mystery, existential questions, and infused with the story of Anna Morandi Manzolini, who is an 18th century Italian anatomist and artist.
What inspired you to write this book?
So there were a number of different inspirations for this book. Definitely the COVID-19 pandemic was something that set this book in motion. Also my Italian American heritage and my interest in Italian history, and certainly my fascination with the physicality of the body, and the kind of uncanny sense that we are mental and spiritual beings, held in these really physical vessels.
The layout of this book is very original, composed as a lab notebook. Where did the idea come from, and what was it like to write it in such a format?
I've always been really interested in science, really interested in what happens in laboratories as forums for just pure questions, investigation, curiosity. Also, at the time when I began this book, I was reading Micrographia, just an incredible book by Robert Hooke, which really pays full attention to the physical reality of the world and the minutiae of objects.
How did you come across Anna Morandi Manzolini, and what about her story spoke to you?
Anna Morandi Manzolini is just a fascinating character. I was looking for a voice for the book, something to really supplement the voice of this scientist, this narrator of the laboratory notebook sections. And when I came across her, she was really a perfect historical figure to thread through the book. I was really fortunate also to find Rebecca Messbarger's book that not only details her story, but that includes excerpts from her journal, which were included in the book, and also that had these very vivid, full color photographs of her wax sculptures of different body parts, one of which is on the cover of the book, obviously. So just a series of these kind of really vivid photographs that captured the artwork that she did, including these really interesting wax portraits, a self portrait of her, a portrait of her husband. You should definitely look these up. They're a little bit creepy and they are directly addressed in the book. But the other thing that really fascinated me about Anna Morandi Manzolini is the way that she was a victim of gender bias. So she started her work as an anatomist and artist in an equal partnership with her husband, who worked in the same field. They created these artworks together. They studied anatomy, but also they taught students. They had students come into their workshop and conducted classes on anatomy with these students using these wax sculptures as instructional objects. But then her husband developed depression, and became really ill. She had to support him, and then eventually he became sickly and died. And when that happened, she was suddenly no longer able to support her family. So, though she was a woman of great intelligence and great talent, she was unable to be compensated, to be paid for the work that she did because she was female. So, slowly, she became increasingly impoverished and eventually had to give up one of her sons for adoption because she couldn't support her family anymore.
Can you tell us about your writing process?
Absolutely. I think of my writing process as a two-tiered process. There is the kind of raw production of the writing that I do. So the time when I sit down, I give myself a word count, I follow the writing where it wants to go and really just put raw words, raw work on the page. And then there's the time that comes after this work where I am revising, selecting, shaping, cutting things out, adding things in, and just thinking structurally about the way things work. And I really almost think about this as the raw work sort of happening in the evening or at night, and the sort of more alert revision process happening in the morning or in the daytime.
What are a couple books you've read recently that you really loved?
That is such a great question. There are so many amazing books in the world, and maybe this is a good time to give a nod again to the Boulder Bookstore for supporting books and bringing them, putting them in the hands of readers. A few books that I have enjoyed recently. I think off the top of my head of Happily by Sabrina Ora Mark, which is an incredible book. Never Let Me Go by Kazu Ishiguro. Soil by Camille Dungy is one that I really also enjoyed recently. But I think another thing I would like to mention in this kind of artistic context is the fact that I went to the Boston Ballet this past weekend and saw a performance of the ballet The Seasons Canon, which was choreographed by Crystal Pite. This is a ballet that just was life changing for me. It was originally written for the Paris Ballet, choreographed for the Paris Ballet, and like the book, it is a work of art that deals with the physicality of the body. So there were moments where groups of human bodies were moving in a mass across the stage as one being. And then there were moments where there were individuals placed in isolation, alone and desolate. So just such a beautiful, intriguing work that I would definitely recommend you see if you have the opportunity.
Is there anything else you want us to know about your book?
Yeah, I guess the last thing I would say about it is just call your attention to the fact that there is some secret nonfiction hiding in it, like an Easter egg that I hope readers might seek out. So I would invite you to enter into this book and see if you can find these little nonfiction segments there.
Can you read us a short passage from your book?
Absolutely. I would love to share that. So, what I would just again kind of mention is that this is a book where uh, the sections are each kind of introduced by a piece that talks about Anna Morandi Manzolini's life and gives a little bit of background about her story and her history and quotes from her journal. So there are direct quotes from her journal, including this very interesting list of tools that she would use in her anatomical process and studies. There are also these narrative essay type pieces that tell stories that are thematically very much related to the themes of the book. But I think what I will read for you now are just two short pieces from the actual lab notebooks. And again, these involve a scientist sort of investigating organs of the body, doing dissections, doing autopsies, but then also reflecting on what it means to kind of again investigate the physicality, the object of the body. Pericardium. I held the part in my hand, its egg of red, the heart's lining, fragility, and yet its destitute color had little stains of lute strings, seasonal and several, naked beneath the slide. The whole putrid figure had a certainty. It was like a deer corpse lying with the throat of it exposed. The specific fix of its diameter branched toward a urine smell. I dried it in a case airtight and immune to motion, and there it grew into a phenomenon, and its upright ease was taken, and its very lung was rendered, and acres of condensation occurred, and I indented its parchment with an exodus of teeth. Drought became it, vicinity, its weight. Above a heat source, its muscles crabbed and raked, its muscles reamed. One could deem its downy violets late, one could evaporate the influx with 1 degree of fathom. One could state such outlets of humanity as subletted and slate. One could find infinities inquisitive, afterwards of glances, automaton. Then the nature of the ripple would read, and time would become feminine, and its very stalk would plainly quake. Its tissue would be like that of a nutshell, its excellent mechanisms and seated leisure, its potent crest and soporific vacancies. It had the dashings of sleep. It would reap with its vegetable ethnicity 1,000 racks of fade. It would die of need. All its colors would be at rest. All its divers would fin swipe in place, all of its rations abreast. The lab. What I studied me, or ignored me, indifferent and turning sharply, soothed from a turbulence I didn't understand. What I studied parted like water and then returned, the very adversary of the spirit, fed vividly with silver and a filth made of frog skin and Queen Anne's lace. The poison shone from it, hot with motion, caustic as the zero place, uniform in their extinguished grinding, limestone fiery and blessed as the heat. I was struck by the found vibration it made, by its music both putrid and glass-blown, robust, by its blind yield and sounding board, and how it made a carpet of all one could see, the way a prison takes the eye and slices from it the whole, so that gravity returns to color and it can be perceived and be at rest. At best, it took months to find this core, but once I saw it, I was amazed. So that's an introduction to identifying the pathogen. Thank you for being with me to listen to a little bit of that book and to hear me talk about it briefly. And thank you again to the Boulder Bookstore for this time and for the support of literature in the world.